heard about what happened and what they were about to do and was dead serious about doing it. And it hit me. Why are they calling this group of people a militia when that's not what they was? This is a gang of terrorists. Yeah, they exercising their right to constitutionally carry their weapons, but this shit that they sat down and did was straight up terrorism. Now, y'all know your boy, and far be it from me to speak from the top of my head, I just happen to have the full report, the actual report, and I've already read it in detail because you can see where I've highlighted certain things. I want to raise the question, what is the difference between a terrorist and someone that's a militia? Because if you're trying to mix the two together, that means that all of a sudden you're trying to call all these people that have been standing up for their rights and exercising their constitutional values, that now they're terrorists. Well, I noticed that you hadn't dropped no names yet, but why does it become an issue now? I couldn't dream of what could be making them want to do all of this and raise this question. And if that wasn't bad enough, before I even dig into this document right here, I was then blindsided. Didn't even see it coming around the corner. I see an article popped up in the New York Times, popped up within hours ago. And it says the plot against Gretchen Whitmer shows the danger of private militias. They already starting the narrative, y'all, because what they want to do is say that all militias are illegal, because if they do that, they also take out the black militia. But y'all don't look at it like that. Y'all gonna sit there like a bunch of idiots and say, well, maybe we shouldn't have no militias. That's exactly why they put it in the Constitution, so that if the people had a grievance with the government, they could arm themselves and go deal with the tyranny if they felt there was tyranny. The interesting thing is, the NFAC is probably the only militia that's ever existed that doesn't feel that way. So you don't see us sitting around talking about, we're going to overthrow the goddamn government. We can do no shit like that. That's why we don't fit into the narrative where they keep coming around talking about, so if the election doesn't go the way that you want it, are you going to have your black militia in the street to fight the whites? I'm not going to be in the street shooting no motherfucker over Trump. See, that's the narrative they want to paint. But we done shook that one off. Matter of fact, we done shook off every narrative that they try to stick on us. You see what I'm saying? Anything to put us in the group with the rest of these clowns over here sitting around doing shit like this. Oh my God, when I read this, June the 6th, we hadn't even gone to Stone Mountain yet. They was already up to this shit. So this ain't got shit to do with the black militia. June the 6th, Crofton Fox and approximately 13 other people from several states gathered in Dublin, Ohio. They talked about creating a society that followed the U.S. Bill of Rights where they could be self-sufficient. They didn't want to be governed no more. They wanted to do their own thing. Several members talked about murdering tyrants or taking a sitting governor. They brought that shit up in the meeting. The militia group had already been brought to the attention of the FBI by a local police department in March of 2020, when members of the militia group were attempting to obtain the addresses of local law enforcement officers. At the time, the FBI interviewed a member of the militia group who was concerned about the group's plans to target and kill police officers, and that person agreed to become a CHS. Here's my problem with this document already. Notice they keep slipping in the word militia. They haven't told me what the name of the militia group is. They haven't told me what this militia group stands for. They haven't told me what their original mission was, because these people, like, they just got together so they can go and do this shit. We're going to kidnap the governor and overthrow some shit. That ain't no goddamn militia. That's a terrorist group. They had a meeting at one of their trainings back in June 18th where Fox told Garvin that he planned to attack the Capitol and ask them to combine forces. Then there's a part in here where it says the operation focuses on Governor Whitmer. It says on June the 14th, CHS2 participated in a consensually recorded telephone call with Fox, who described the meeting in Dublin, Ohio. And Fox said he needed 200 men to storm the Capitol building in Lansing, Michigan, and take hostages, including the governor. Militia? Terrorists. Fox explained that they would try the governor of Michigan for treason and said they would execute the plan before the November 2020 election. Well, what's right around the corner? Mm-hmm. Goes a little further. Listen to what we're saying here. On June the 20th, they had a meeting at a shop. Listen to this. I'm reading this. I'm not making this up. Which was accessed through a trap door hidden under a rug on the main floor. If that ain't straight out of what is The Walking Dead? Who wrote this? Straight out of a movies, bruh. This is terrorist. This ain't no militia meeting. I don't think anybody in the NFAC has ever had to go underground inside of a wall where we had to pull back, the bookcase and do the statue head back and push the button. We ain't never had to do no shit like that. Ever. That's not a militia. It's terrorists. Keep going. The attendees discussed plans for assaulting the Michigan State Capitol, countering law enforcement first responders, and using Molotov cocktails to destroy vehicles. Who been watching too many movies? Okay? There's another section called Training and Planning to Kidnap the Michigan Governor. I'm just going to drop down to one line out of all of this craziness that they were doing, all the training and the meeting and who was meeting who and how they was doing it. There's a line in here that said they were told to leave if they were not willing to participate in attacks against the governor and in kidnapping politicians. They gave people a chance to walk out. Look, y'all, we about to get into some real shit here. And if this ain't really what you about, leave. That's not a militia. That's terrorists. And then it goes to show you who stayed. Then they went out and bought tasers. They were talking about going to the lady's house. At one point, somebody was even talking about they went to the governor's house and they actually was going to pull this shit off up until 2-3 days ago when they went and bought the taser, paid $4,000 for some night vision shit. They was about to shut it down. And on several occasions, they made sure that they let it be known that the leader expressed his intention and desire to kidnap Governor Whitmer before November the 3rd of 2020. They got shut down on October the 7th. That is the document right here. You can go read it for yourself if you have the access to the federal court's record system. The one thing they're not going to do is to use this group of criminals and then try to wholesale indict all the militia groups that exist. You see, this don't just affect the black militia. This affects all militias, and every militia out there should be looking at what they're trying to do. The article that I just read that was in the New York Times, I couldn't believe that shit. I'm not even gonna sit here and play. I read it. I went like, oh, they saying all militias everywhere. Oh, okay. So now you want to attack the ability of people to organize themselves peacefully and exercise these. But I want y'all to know that if you read this complaint, oh yeah, these white boys was about to commit a crime for real. They didn't give a fuck. Maybe we should call them not fucking around. No, they're terrorists, not a militia. And they weren't acting like a militia at all. That is not what a militia does. We're not doing that. So please, don't sit there and feed into it. That's terrorism. That's not being a militia. Okay? Now y'all understand why? No, we're not. That's why people get kicked out. That's why people get dismissed. Sometimes you're guilty by association. But I wanted to cover that first because now I want to say this to the governor of Michigan as the leader of a militia. That what happened or what they were planning to do to you does not reflect the spirit of a militia as we understand it under the Constitution. That is terrorism that was directed at you, Madam Governor. And I believe that if you use that as the example, that you would be sadly mistaken about a lot of us who have loftier goals rather than trying to terrorize and kidnap governors. That is not an example of what a militia is. And you know, we give support. I have to support that. That's not something that you would ever. That's not what a militia is. And once a militia devolves to that type of behavior, then let's call it what it is. Okay, we're not. That's not what we're about. And I hate to see that the rest of the world is using that as the example. Like that's all everybody's doing is sitting around plotting on shit like that. It's not. No, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Now I don't know, what their position was as far as violating the Constitution. That's their opinion, but they do not represent militias in the United States. That's my statement on that. I want to make sure I get that out there.